She told me I was just a product, something to be delivered. Richard Carter's voice trembled as those words left his mouth. Words no father should ever have to say. But they were real. They were carved into his memory like scars that never fade. That night, everything he thought he knew about love, trust, and family shattered into pieces on the cold marble floor of his own home. He wasn't just facing betrayal. He was staring straight into the eyes of evil, wearing the face of the woman he had once trusted to help raise his daughter. Imagine coming home early from work only to find your child, your 8-year-old little girl, lying unconscious on the bedroom floor, bruises across her arms, fear frozen on her face. And when she finally speaks, what she says makes your heart stop. This isn't just a story about rescue. It's a story about how far a father will go when his child is in danger, even if the enemy is the person sleeping beside him. Stay with us, because what Richard discovers next will shake you to your core. One decision, one hidden conversation, and one terrifying truth will change everything. It was just after 6 in the evening when Richard Carter pulled into the long driveway of the Carter estate in the quiet suburbs of Boston. The sun was starting to dip behind the trees, casting a golden hue across the lawn. He had left work early, a rare act for the usually overcommitted CEO, not for a meeting or an emergency, but because he missed his daughter. He wanted to surprise her, maybe make pancakes for dinner like they used to. But the moment he stepped through the front door, something felt wrong. Lily, he called, his voice echoing through the high ceilings. Vanessa, silence. The stillness of the mansion was unsettling. Richard loosened his tie, listening. Nothing. No television, no humming of music from the kitchen, no footsteps. Just silence thick enough to raise goosebumps. He climbed the stairs 2 steps at a time, dread pooling in his chest. When he reached Lily's room, the door was ajar, a sliver of dim light bleeding through. He pushed it open, and what he saw made his world collapse. Lily was lying on the floor, curled up near her bed, her pink pajama top crumpled, streaked with dust and something darker. Her arms trembled, and her breathing was shallow. Richard dropped to his knees. My God. Lily, sweetheart, what happened? He whispered. Her eyes fluttered open. They were red, swollen. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Daddy, she whimpered. He cradled her gently, heart breaking at the way she clung to him. That's when he noticed the bruises, dark finger-shaped marks around her wrists and upper arms. Who did this to you? He asked, trying to stay calm, though every nerve in his body screamed with rage. My mom? Vanessa? Left with Uncle Dylan, she whispered. He told me not to cry. Richard froze. Uncle Dylan. Who's Dylan? He's her friend. I don't like him. He grabbed me. Said bad girls get punished. Richard's blood turned cold. Dylan. He'd never heard that name. Never met the man. And Vanessa? Where the hell was she? He laid Lily gently in bed, covering her with a blanket. You're safe now, baby, I promise. No one's going to hurt you again. Ever. Promise, Daddy. With my life. After Lily fell asleep, Richard stumbled downstairs in a haze. He poured himself a glass of whiskey with shaking hands, trying to suppress the images flashing through his mind, his daughter broken and bruised. What the hell had happened in his own house while he was busy closing deals and attending investor dinners? He grabbed his phone and called Vanessa, straight to voicemail. He tried again. Nothing. His jaw clenched. Vanessa, call me the moment you hear this. We need to talk. Now. It was 10 o'clock when his phone finally rang. Her voice on the other end was unsettlingly calm. Hey, Richard. What's going on? Where the hell are you? He snapped. Lily's hurt. She said you left her with someone named Dylan. What kind of meeting lasts this long? Oh, come on, Richard. You know how kids are. She probably tripped while playing. Don't be dramatic. She has bruises shaped like fingers. Vanessa, do you think I'm stupid? There was a pause and then a cold reply. You're overreacting. I'll be home tomorrow night. You can interrogate me then. She hung up before he could respond. Richard stood in the dim kitchen staring at the screen. That was no ordinary dismissiveness. That was calculated, prepared, as if she'd expected this confrontation. He returned upstairs and sat beside Lily, watching her sleep. Her little face was still strained, even in rest. That night he didn't sleep. He just sat there thinking, replaying the conversation, replaying every ignored instinct. And then he remembered something. A silver chain. Lily's birthday necklace, the one he gave her last year, was snapped lying on the floor near the closet. He picked it up slowly, staring at the broken clasp. Something had happened, something far worse than a fall. The next morning, Lily stirred and opened her eyes. "Daddy, my arms hurt." "I know, baby," he said softly. "We're going to the doctor soon, okay?" She nodded, but then her expression darkened. "Is Mom coming back today?" "I don't know." "Why do you ask?" "Because she said if I told anyone something bad would happen to you." Richard's breath caught in his throat. "She said I had to be quiet, or they'd take me far away. Somewhere I'd never see you again." His heart felt like it was being torn apart. He knelt down beside her and held her face in his hands. "Sweetheart, no one is ever taking you away from me. Do you hear me?" Lily nodded, but fear lingered in her eyes. They went down to the kitchen together, and while Richard flipped pancakes, he watched her. She looked smaller than ever, like some part of her had been taken overnight. "Daddy," she said suddenly, "do you know Uncle Dylan?" "No. What does he look like? He's tall. Has a scar here," she pointed to her cheek. "Wears black suits. Talks funny, like he's from somewhere else. And he always brings stacks of money." Richard nearly dropped the spatula. "Has he been here often?" "Yes. When you're not home, Mom says I have to stay in my room when he comes. And yesterday they told me I had to come with him. I cried. He got mad, squeezed my arms, said crybaby girls are useless." Richard's stomach churned. Then Mom yelled at him, said to wait until today. She paused, lowering her voice. "They gave me some medicine that made me sleepy. When I woke up, you were here." His hands were trembling as he pulled the pancake off the pan. "They're coming back today," Lily whispered. "I heard Mom on the phone. She said, today they were picking up the package." Richard froze. "The package, I don't know what it is. I asked, but they told me to be quiet." Something primal awoke in Richard. They were coming back. They were planning to take her. He had to act fast. Just then the doorbell rang. He went rigid. Lily looked at him. "Daddy?" "It's okay," he whispered. But when he walked toward the door, he peeked through the blinds, only a delivery guy. He opened the door with a strained smile. The delivery man looked confused. "Package for Vanessa Reed." Richard hesitated. "She's not here." "I'll take it." As the man handed him the box, Richard slipped him a $50 bill. "Please forget you were ever here." The man blinked, then nodded and walked away. Richard closed the door and leaned against it, breathing hard. That had been too close. He looked down at the box in his hands, unmarked, sealed. Something was very, very wrong, and he was running out of time. We're deeply sorry to pause the story here. But what do you think Richard should do next? Should he run with Lily or stay and fight? If this story moved you, please hit the like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it. We're just getting started. Richard stared at the unmarked box in his hands, pulse thudding in his ears. Whatever had just arrived wasn't just for Vanessa, it was a message, a warning, a countdown ticking louder with every breath. He placed the box on the kitchen counter, then crouched next to Lily. "Sweetheart, how about we go visit Aunt Jess for a bit?" he asked gently. Lily tilted her head. "Is something wrong?" "No," he lied. "I just want you to be safe for a little while." She nodded, trusting him without question. That broke his heart more than anything. 15 minutes later, Richard stood on the porch of Jessica's house. He kissed Lily's forehead and whispered, "Stay inside, no matter what. Will you come back for me always?" When Jessica opened the door, she immediately noticed the tension on her brother's face. "Richard, what's going on?" He leaned in close. "Don't let Lily leave this house. Not with anyone, not even with Vanessa." Jessica's expression darkened. "What's happening? I'll explain later. Please, just protect her." Back in the car, Richard wasn't just a father anymore. He was a man preparing for war. He drove straight back to the estate, pulled into a side street, and parked where no one could see his vehicle. Then, with a burning sense of urgency, he slipped into his own house through the back entrance. He had exactly one shot at this. He went to Vanessa's study, an elegant room she always kept locked, and forced the drawer of her mahogany desk open with a screwdriver. Inside, he found exactly what he feared: foreign contracts, bank transfer records to anonymous offshore accounts, even photographs of children, dozens of them. And among them, Lily. He took everything, stuffed it into his coat pocket just as his phone buzzed. "Vanessa, be there in 20. Have Lily ready." His hands shook, not from fear, rage. They were coming to take his daughter as if she were freight, as if she were a product with a shipping label. Not today, not ever. He called 911. "My name is Richard Carter. I live at 786 Riverview Drive. My wife and another man are coming to kidnap and traffic my daughter. I have proof. I need officers here quietly. No sirens. Sir, just do it, and hurry." Then he went upstairs and grabbed Lily's favorite dolls. He arranged them on the couch as if she were playing nearby. He turned on a cartoon in the background. He set the stage. 5 minutes later, he heard the sound of tires on gravel. He stood in the hallway, breathing slowly, grounding himself. He couldn't look afraid. Not now. The front door opened. Vanessa walked in, radiant in her perfect facade. "Richard," she greeted, voice syrupy. "This is Dylan Novak, my business partner." Dylan was taller than Richard expected. Sharp suit, cold eyes, and the scar Lily had described like a brand of evil carved into his face. "Nice to meet you," Richard said, offering a hand. Dylan took it, his grip overly firm. "Vanessa said we had a presentation," Richard said. "About education." "Yes," Dylan said smoothly. "Lily's involvement is essential. She'll be the face of a new program." Richard nodded slowly. "And where's this taking place again?" "A hotel downtown," Vanessa said quickly. "Just a few hours. Nothing serious." "I'd like to see the documents," Richard said, voice even. Vanessa's smile faltered. "Documents you know," Richard added. "As her father, I'd like to see what you're involving my daughter in. We don't have time for..." "Then I'll go with you." "No," Vanessa snapped too fast. Then, softening her voice, she added, "I just mean you have work tomorrow. Tomorrow's Saturday." The silence between them cracked like glass. Dylan shifted his stance. "I'm going to get Lily," he said, stepping toward the stairs. Richard moved in front of him. "No one touches my daughter but me. Richard, Vanessa warned you're acting irrational." He pulled out the contracts and photographs from his coat. "I found these in your desk." Vanessa's expression went dead. No warmth, no guilt, just a mask slipping. "You went through my things. I also recorded your conversation with Dylan outside the car yesterday." Dylan reached into his jacket. Richard's eyes followed the movement. "Was it a gun?" His fingers tightened at his sides. "How much did you hear?" Dylan asked, voice like gravel. "Enough to know you plan to sell my daughter," Richard growled. "You won't lay a finger on her." "You shouldn't have done that," Vanessa said. "You really shouldn't have." Just then they heard it. The faint, unmistakable sound of tires screeching outside. Vanessa's eyes widened. "You called the police?" Richard didn't flinch. "They're here. Right now." Dylan turned toward the back door. No, Richard stepped in his way. "You're staying right here." But Dylan pushed him. Hard. Richard stumbled, catching himself against the wall. Vanessa screamed, not in fear but in frustration. Police lights spilled through the windows. "Get down on the ground," shouted a voice from outside. "Open the door and tell them it's a mistake." Dylan barked, shoving something hard into Richard's back. Richard took a breath, then stepped to the door and opened it. 4 officers with bulletproof vests and drawn weapons surged inside. "There are 2 suspects," Richard shouted. "They're armed and dangerous." Dylan tried to bolt. "Back door," someone yelled. Vanessa ran for the stairs, but 2 officers blocked her. "I'm not going down for this," she shrieked. "Yes," Richard said coldly. "You are." As officers handcuffed them both, Vanessa hissed. "You don't get it, Richard. This doesn't end here. There are more of us. Lily is valuable. They'll keep coming." "Stay away from my daughter," he said through clenched teeth. "She's not a product. She's my child." The last thing Vanessa said before being shoved into the squad car was a whisper through gritted teeth. "This isn't over." And Richard believed her. We're sorry to leave the story on such an intense note, but what would you have done in Richard's place, fight or run? If this story gripped your heart, please like the video and share it with someone who would stand up for what's right. Every view helps his story reach someone who might need courage today. For days after the arrest, Richard couldn't sleep. Not deeply, not fully. Even with Vanessa and Dylan behind bars, even with Lily safe in her bed at Jessica's house, a quiet fear still crept beneath his ribs. He would wake in the middle of the night drenched in sweat, heart pounding, certain he'd heard the back door creak or tires rolling down the driveway. But it was always just wind, or a passing car, or his imagination refusing to let go of the nightmare he'd barely survived. But Lily was different. At just 8 years old, she had every reason to shut down, to retreat into herself, but she didn't. She cried. She clung to him at night. She asked questions no child should ever have to ask. But then she began to laugh again, to draw, to play with her dolls and ask for pancakes in the mornings. Her innocence hadn't been lost, it had been fought for, and she was slowly reclaiming it. Richard, on the other hand, had to rebuild from the inside out. He left the corporate world behind, sold the mansion, bought a modest home with a fenced yard and flower beds Lily could tend in the spring, the kind of home that didn't echo with secrets, a place where laughter would sound louder than fear. Dr. Olivia Bennett, Lily's child psychologist, became a steady presence in their lives. Through play, therapy, painting, baking, and long talks under a tree in the yard, Lily began to let the weight of it all fall away. She still had questions like why someone she once called mom could have done something so cruel. But she was no longer afraid of the answers. One morning, Richard came downstairs to find Lily at the kitchen counter, mixing pancake batter in her favorite yellow pajamas. "Morning, Daddy," she said, flour on her nose. "I'm making breakfast." He smiled, heart swelling. "Since when do you know how to cook?" "Dr. Olivia says it helps me feel strong when I do things by myself." Richard reached for a plate and kissed her head. "Then today you're the chef." Later that afternoon, Lily sat on the porch swing with Max, the golden retriever they'd adopted 6 months earlier. She stroked his ears as Richard trimmed a few hedges. "Daddy," she asked suddenly. "Yeah, kiddo. Do you think I'm different from other kids?" Richard looked up surprised. "Why would you think that?" "Because of what happened. Sometimes I feel like there's a sign on me that says I'm broken." He knelt in front of her, gently holding her hands. "You're not broken, Lily. What happened to you wasn't your fault, and it doesn't define you. You're the bravest, kindest, strongest kid I know. You're exactly who you're meant to be." She looked at him for a long time, then whispered, "I'm glad you were my daddy." Tears pressed behind his eyes. "I didn't save you, Lily. You saved me." And it was true. Because in the days that followed, when the media tried to sensationalize their story, when investigators uncovered a sprawling international trafficking network and used Vanessa's confiscated phone to identify over 50 missing children, Richard found his purpose again. He testified. He handed over recordings, files, names, even helped the FBI understand how such operations could function undetected within upper-class communities. And thanks to Lily's memory of a name Vanessa had mentioned once in passing, Donna, they traced the chain to a European contact, arrested another facilitator, and rescued 3 more children before they could vanish across the border. Lily didn't just survive, she became the reason other children were saved too. 2 years passed. Spring sunshine filtered through the windows of their cozy new home. Lily, now 10, ran through the backyard barefoot with Max chasing her, both of them howling with laughter. Her hair was longer, her smile wider. Her world finally stable. Inside, Richard brewed coffee as Jessica knocked on the door with a shopping bag full of hand-me-down books and new shoes for Lily. "She's grown another inch," Jessica said with a laugh. "You're going to go broke buying clothes at this rate." "That's a good problem to have," Richard replied. "A growing kid, a messy yard, and 0 nightmares in 2 months." They sat at the table watching Lily through the kitchen window. "She doesn't talk about Vanessa anymore," Jessica said gently. "I think she's letting go," Richard replied. "And I think maybe I'm starting to as well." Jessica smiled. "Good. You deserve peace too, Rich." He glanced outside once more, then back to his sister. "You think it's okay if I try dating again someday?" Jessica raised an eyebrow. "Is this about your assistant?" Anna. Richard chuckled, slightly embarrassed. "She's kind. Her daughter's Lily's age. And for the first time, it doesn't feel dangerous to hope again." Jessica squeezed his hand. "Then maybe it's time you let yourself live." That evening, Richard tucked Lily into bed, her cheeks still pink from the sun. "Daddy," she asked. "Yeah, if I ever get a new mom, can she love Max too?" He laughed. "That's the only requirement." Lily giggled. "Okay, then maybe we're ready." Richard turned off the lamp, kissed her forehead, and stood at the doorway, watching her fall asleep. Peacefully, safely. He had kept his promise, not just to protect her, but to give her a future worth living. A future filled with trust, with second chances, and above all, with love. And for the first time in years, Richard Carter finally believed he had a future too. Now, after everything you've seen, do you believe a second chance can truly heal the past? And do you think Lily's story might inspire other children to speak up? How did this story make you feel? If it moved you deeply, type no or 3 in the comments. If it felt just okay, comment no too. And if you think we could have done better, leave us a number you won. Also, we'd love to know what country are you watching from today. Don't forget to like, tap that heart, and share this video to help spread awareness and hope. Someone out there might need to hear Lily's story right now.